Welcome, I'm the Deadwood Jedi, and this is another Raid Shadow Legends video. Today we're taking a look at Abyssal. I am in KZ's account, longtime supporter of mine, and yeah, he said he leveled up in Abyssal, one of those rare champions. And you know, initially my thought was all these rare champions are pretty trash. I was not very impressed with them, but after a second look and hearing from people and stuff, I think Abyssal is actually pretty darn good for a rare champion. Now, there's not going to be an end game champion. I don't see that being the case, although there's definitely a place for him if you want to bring him into different areas of the game. And I think the best spot you're going to see him is in Faction Wars. We do have the Demon faction open today, so we are going to get a look at that really quickly here, and that's primarily where I think he's going to be good. Although if you're early game player, I think you're going to be able to use Tarshan in a couple different areas. So that said, let's go ahead and take a look at his kit. Okay guys, this is Tarshan. I mean, he looks amazing. I do love the look. He's super troll right now. I think it's really cool, honestly. But he's got some cool stuff in his kit. We'll start with the A1, where he puts a block buffs for 2 turns. Books up to a 30% chance. It's an AoE on his A1 skill. As you guys know, those are super valuable because you can do that every single turn. And so you can put him in a daze set, a stun set. You can put him in some kind of relentless or retaliation type of gear, venging gear if you wanted to. There's a lot of positives to having somebody with an AoE on their A1 skill. So this is really good. And an AoE block buff skill is actually really strong. It's 2-turn block buff skill. That's not bad at all, guys. So it's only 30% chance, but if you can spam that out a little bit, it can be really useful for you. We also have a heal on his A2. It's an allies heal, 15% of their max HP. Not always, obviously not the greatest of things. I think once you book that up, you get 25% of 15. It's something around 18%, I feel like. Maybe a little bit higher than that. I guess it'd be like 19.5% heal percentage once it's fully booked. Remember, these are additive, not multiplicative. So it doesn't book up to a 40% heal. It books up to like a 19.5% heal. Still, that's a pretty solid heal. On a 3-turn cooldown for a rare champion, that's not bad. And then it's A3, increase defense and increase attack buff on all allies for 2 turns. The only other champion I know that has this buff is Drakgol, a legendary champion. Now, both of these are the lower ones of those, right? They're the small increase defense, the small increase attack. But this is rare to have both of these skills on one champion. That becomes very beneficial because it doesn't matter who you're bringing in, they're going to benefit from this. Whether it's an attack champion or defensive champion, they're going to benefit. This is really good. So all 3 of these skills bring useful things to the table. This is like the ideal champion. I wish all the champions were like this, where all the skills are bringing something useful to the table. He also has a speed aura for the faction crypt, and I think that is where you're going to use Abyssal. I don't see Abyssal being used a lot outside of that. That said, could be good for like campaign farming potentially, or for even dungeon runs when you're early on in the game. Obviously, you're going to outgrow Abyssal at some point, but those are 3 skills that are all useful for your team. It's hard to beat that. As far as artifacts go, this is built in a stun set, which I think is ideal. When you have an AoE on your A1, that's a great set to use, especially when it's also bringing in block buffs. That means all you really need to do with the Abyssal is spam it over and over and over again until the need arises to use one of the other buffs. As far as the stats go, you can see a lot of HP. Solid defense, the attack's really low. I'm not too concerned about that. I don't see this guy being a hard hitter. You can see his base stats are actually not super high, but the speed's good. Accuracy's there to land everything that it needs to do. You can see these are attack-based. That is an attack-based skill. It is only one attack skill, so that's a negative. Now, as far as the masteries go, this has gone to increase the stun chance, which I think is actually probably a good idea if you're going to build them in the stun set. And then otherwise, it's just to maximize the healing, get a chance to get those cooldowns back, and extend the buffs that he does place, and just get more turn meter as much as possible. This is actually, I think, a very good build. I wouldn't build him offensively. I don't believe his multipliers are high. His base attack is really low. Even if his multipliers are super high, because of the low base attack, it's going to be really hard to get him to a point where you can actually use him anyway. So I think this is an ideal build for us. Let's go ahead and first we're going to just take him into dungeon. Let's go ahead. Actually, first thing, let's take him into the campaign. We can just kind of see what he can do here on the brutal stage and just kind of see how he farms stuff. If he farms, what he prioritizes. I mean, perhaps he's going to die right away. I honestly don't know. Haven't used him before. This is my first time too, so we'll see how it goes. Oh, there he is. Abyssal. All right. Let's see how he rolls, guys. We're just going to try and make this video nice and quick. There's really only one spot I'm interested in seeing him, so Faction Wars, but we'll kind of check him out in a couple different spots. So he's going to use that on his A1. That does mean if you are bold enough to build him with enough attack and crit damage, crit rate, he could potentially be a farmer. Anytime you have, look at that. He's just got that AoE on the A1. That's all he's got to do. Even not built offensively, he's being aggressive enough and goes fast enough where he's going to be able to get enough stuff going for you guys. I think he could farm for you. He's not going to be a fast farmer, don't get me wrong, but he's just using that A1 over and over again. He doesn't need to heal because he's not taking enough damage for it, and he doesn't need to he's not prioritizing the buffs either. So this is kind of interesting how he goes about it. Be interesting if he loses enough HP if he actually does the heal at some point. So far, he's pretty content to just go ham here. I'm loving it. All right, well, like 1 minute, not bad. It's rare. It's hard to see a rare champion actually farm brutal, so I think that in and of itself is pretty good. Just kind of get a sense of what he does. All right, so this is a kind of a nuke team here. We're gonna go ahead and take that out. Bring Tarshan in. We still have the 2 Royal Guards, and Venus is still a little extra, to be honest with you guys. Let's do something along this line here, just to I try and get like some kind of idea of how it's gonna play if you were to bring him into dungeons. So we'll just go ahead and auto. So with allies, it does look like he prioritizes the increased defense, increased attack skill, that A3. Obviously with this team, it's completely unnecessary. But it does look like that becomes a prioritized skill here. So even with the increased attack, he still used the A2. But you can see, A1 just goes to town, slams that out. Good for dealing with waves and stuff. Keeping some crowd control on. Putting him in a stun set I think is really nice. You could even put him in a provoke set if you can build him tanky enough. Not what I would advise, I don't think, but there's some potential there. There you go, got that increased defense up. He does prioritize that with allies, so that's good to know. I think it's a valuable buff, especially if you can't find it elsewhere. And he can be pretty good. Yeah. I'm kind of interested to see when the dragon hits him, if he does the heal, how that works. I guess it's kind of hard when the dragon's we're crushing the dragon with the rest of the team. Oh, so that was interesting. He did do the increased defense and the increased attack buff for basically no reason there. We had stronger buffs on already, and he did that. So that's interesting. That's something that you can clearly see the AI is not exactly brilliant about, but AI in this game is always a bit of a mess. So we kind of just deal with that. Bring him into Faction Wars. We got one last run on us, boys and girls. Let's see what we got. All right, so this is the Demonspawn team. It's a mix mash. We'll just see how he goes. We'll just let it run on auto here. So my guess is going to put the increased defense and attack. There it goes, right there on time. That is the first thing. If we don't have, I don't even think it requires anything else. It's going to be the first skill he uses, and then he starts going into that A1. And my guess is unless we're actually low on health, he's not going to bother using that A2 skill, which is good. That means he's basically spamming that A1, the AoE skill, the one we want him to use, honestly. And putting out those stuns with the stun set is actually really nice. Now, those bombs could be problematic for us. They're going to be problematic for us. Not could be. They're just going to be. So we might lose a champion or two here. Yep, lost a couple. And there you go. You do see the heal come right up after that. So this run might not work, but we got to see all the skills there, right? And you can see it's keeping them alive. Using that heal, absolutely using that heal when people are under, it looks like about 60% health or so, maybe like 50%. Maybe not. That looks like he used it again. So it looks like if they're anything under probably about 20% health, they're going to use that. He's going to use that heal, which is great. Solid champion, man. Yeah, guys, if you're struggling with Demon Faction Wars, Tarshan might be a really good guy to build up. I think he might be good in general. Now, is he one of those people I'm like, ooh, gotta get him, gotta level him up? No, but definitely useful champion. He doesn't have a lot of endgame potential because he's not useful. He's useful for progression, right? He's not going to be useful for endgame content. And that's just the reality of it. He's going to be outclassed by pretty much every epic, pretty much every legendary out there. But definitely can do some work for you. The dude can play. I mean, the dude can play. And obviously he's got good gear on, so like that always makes a big difference. But if you're struggling in progression, I don't see any reason why you wouldn't want to build him out to say level 50 or so. Would I want to build him all the way to 60? He would be one of the last champions I'd want to do that with. Pretty much if I'm going to level up a rare champion to level 60, 6-star them, that kind of thing, I want to make sure they're good. I can use them in all end game content. While you can put the right gear on pretty much anybody and use them in end game content, I do not feel like Tarshan is the kind of guy where you want to do that with. I just don't see the benefits of that, quite frankly. But not bad at all. Not bad at all. I'm pretty happy with him. So I think he's a good champion, guys. Look, if you guys, I'm just going to let this run in the background. If you guys have the opportunity, I should put it this way. If you guys need to beat Demon Faction Wars and you're really, really struggling with it, Tarshan might be an excellent rare champion to build up to help out, fill out your team. It's one of those things. If you don't have a lot of champions in that faction, that's when you want to build up the rare champion there. I mean, don't look for him to carry your entire team. As you guys can see, it's not going to work for us. Obviously, if we manualed, we would be able to beat this, but he's a solid champion. I mean, he's going to do some serious work for you. You can see he does a lot of healing. He does some damage. He does some support. You can put him in, like I said, get him in that stun set, and he's going to have a lot of crowd control potential there for your team. So there's a lot of good stuff to like there about Abyssal. Definitely somebody I would be looking to bring into your Faction War team if you have him, if you need him. Otherwise, I don't really see a use for him in this game. Not as an end game or a mid game player. If, like I said, it's really going to be helpful if you're early game. I think that can be really strong. There is some potential with that increased defense and increased attack buff. I do like how he prioritizes that. That is a nice thing for you guys. So that can be really useful in a lot of areas of the game. Overall, I would say for a rare champion, probably like a C+ champion. Every skill he brings is useful. All the stuff that he does is helpful. He is not what I would say, one of those champions that you have to bring into your team. He's not somebody you're going to miss if you don't bring him into your team. This one is fully booked. You could see a lot of those buffs did not land consistently. So he's not going to be, fabulous for you guys. But you know what? It's one of those things. If you want to build him up because he looks amazing and his animations are pretty cool, I don't see anything wrong with that. Just don't look for him to save your Dragon Squad, your Ice Golem team, something like that. But outside of that, I think he can be really useful for you guys. So hopefully this was helpful. Yeah, he's kind of cool champion. He might be good against the Magic Keep if you're struggling against that with the block buffs. That's not a bad thing. But yeah, I kind of liked him. I kind of liked him a lot. Not that I'm going to build him up. I'm not. But, he's cool champion, pretty fun, and I think for a rare, especially a rare demon spawn, he's pretty darn good. So hopefully this helped for you guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Make sure to check out my Game On account. Got videos up there all the time. I just posted a bunch of shard opening ones, so you'll want to check those out. I have we're going to be opening some shards on stream tomorrow. So stop by if you want. No worries if you don't. It's not going to be a big deal. And yeah, guys, if you like this, hit that subscribe, hit the like button, and until next we meet, I'm the Deadwood Jedi.